Hey everybody, RC here. Thanks for dropping by my channel. Today we're going to start a new Let's Play using the game Banished. And this is a game that I downloaded on Steam. And there are a few mods. I am using the more iron, the more stone, and the more wood. That is one of the weaknesses of the game, that resources disappear very quickly. So these address that. We also are using tree growth and life, which extends the life of trees so they don't die as quickly and they grow a little bit faster, so about 4 times quicker. We are also using a modded setup that starts with 2 people and seeds. So that is the basic, and that is called Eve, is the mod there. So that's where we are to start the game. So we do have, let's see, we have the river and a small lake here to the north of us. The river is your main trade route, and that is where you will get trade ships that will come by. So right along the banks, that would stand to reason as a good place to get started. Probably build our town square here, and then we can build bridges to get across into this expanse of land. This might be a good place to ford the river and the brook over on this side. And that gives us pretty good access to go in this pass to access this area out this way, and also this pass to the south to get over to the lake area. And we'll probably set up some fishing camps here to do some fishing out of the lake. So I like our embark spot. We don't control that. They just show up where they want. Now, if you've never played this game, there are 3 basic resources. You have wood, you have stone or basic rock, and then you have iron ore. And all 3 of those are needed to build various things. Down here we have our toolbar. First thing I do is in the settings, I open up a couple of these. Let's see. Yes, I do like the log event, the job assignments, and I don't need that, although I could use it if I need it. So those are the 3 that I use. This kind of gives you a brief overview of everything that's happening. Any issues will show up here with an icon, and this tells us that there are 3 citizens without a house. Okay, well, we haven't built any yet. It tells us that we have 2 adults, no students, and 1 child, and it's early spring of the year 1 of the first year of existence of our village that I have named Restlawn. It gives us the amount of food and different resources that we have. So we have 2,000 food, we have 50 tools, the health is 5 out of 5, and the happiness is 5 out of 5. It is 37 degrees and sunny. So early spring, so winter has just ended, so it is still a little cold, but we do have it turned on for mild weather settings. But we will still have cold winters, and we can die if we do not have enough heat. So we're done with that. Now we have different types of houses, roads and bridges, storage, markets, and trade shops. The town square, things like the well, schools, hospital, government, and religious structures. Food production of various sorts, farming, orchards, cattle, fishing, hunting, and a gatherer's hut. Resource gathering of various sorts, and also the resource placements of mines, quarries. We do have a tavern where you can go get drunk and be happy, a tailor to make warm clothes for the winter, blacksmith to make new tools, because we do have 50 tools, but as they use those tools to chop down trees, mine ore and rocks, they will break, and we will have to replace those. Then you have your removal and destruction, where you can clear resources and clear out areas. And then you have your cancel. So if you set something up, undo it, and then you have your options where you can go in and save or do other things of that nature. So let's see. I'm going to turn the camera here. I like to be able to kind of look off the river, just like in the olden days when towns were first being built. No matter where in the world they were, the river was the lifeblood of that community, and that's going to be the same in the game of Banished. As I mentioned, all sources of trade will come via the river, and also we can fish in the river as well as the lake, but the river will have a lot to do with what's going on in our world. So I am going to build a house. Now I'm going to build a wooden house, and you can see there on the little icon it takes 16 wood and 8 stone. Now a stone house is much better because it is warmer in the winter. However, you can see it takes much more in the way of resources, and with only 2 workers we don't have that ability. So we're just going to get them a place to live. And when I zoom in here, you can see the house. When it's green, that means it can be placed there. If it has any red, it cannot be placed there for whatever reason. So here we're going up onto a hill or a mountain, and it cannot be done in that spot. But you will also notice to the right you have the arrows. That is the side that needs to have access to a walkway if you build a walkway. So we're going to come up here against the mountain here, and we will build their house. And we're going to let them get started with that. What they will do is, I'm going to unpause it. There they go. They are up here. We also have a wagon up here. This has all of our tools and food in it right now. And you can see it's 99% full because they each took 1 tool. Sorry about that. Now, the profession screen here is a screen that you will use a lot. The game is very much about micromanaging, and you will always need to move people around even as your community grows. So right now I have 2 people, and they're both laborers, so they will go out and clear areas and move goods to storage. What they will not do is they will not build anything. So I've set the house up over here in this spot, and it tells me there's 2 trees, 16 logs. Well, I'm sorry, they're removing. So there are 2 things to remove. So that's what they're going to do right now. They're going to remove those items. Now what I have to give them is a stockpile. And I want that to be over here near their house. So we're going to build a stockpile. And here he comes, working to clear that stockpile. And I hit the escape key to get back, and I forgot that's not the key in this game. But so be it. Alright, so he's cutting down the rest of these trees. They will start bringing the items to the stockpile once it is set up. And that gives us another place besides the wagon to keep items. And remember, laborers also move goods to storage. So that's our storage. Now he's idle, and she's working. If you look down here in the red logo that popped up, that's kind of your warning areas. Hey, these are things you need to work on. So we are near capacity because of our wagon. Now we actually have a stockpile, and they will start moving things into that stockpile. Alright, now I need to move them to builder, so they will start bringing things to the house. So I've taken them out of the labor category and put them in the builder category. And what this tells you, the right column tells you how many you need to work at maximum speed. So sometimes you might have 8, 10, 12, depending on what you're building and how many things you're building. And you have to juggle workers to do that. If I would have left them as a builder, nothing would get, as a laborer, nothing would get built. And once the building is done, I have to move them back to labor to do more hauling and things of that nature. Alright, so let's see. He is getting... Let's see, where's my hill here? Reserve of logs is low, so it kind of walks you through. And I'm going to harvest a few trees, just a couple of them, not too many. And this is something you'll have to keep in mind during this game. You don't want to get too far ahead in designating things because that ties them up from doing any other work. Alright, so let's see. There's my stockpile. Okay, here's my house. So basically right now we have 16 logs, but we still need 8 stone. So I'm going to have to designate some stone. And those look like rocks, but that's actually going to be iron. Okay, well it did designate a few in there. Alright, so we will let them, I will set one of them back to labor and let them go work on that. And if I click on the arrow here, you can actually cycle through your people. So it helps you find them if they're getting spread out. So he's working, and then I'm going to click on her, and she's picking up resources. Alright, so he's doing some stone. She's going to pick it up from where he's at, and hopefully get that moved over. So there we can see that they've chopped up some of that stone into blocks, and they will pick that up and bring it back over to the stockpile. And she can actually hold some and then mine a little more. And then she's off to bring it back now too. Now I'm going to up the speed to 2 times, just because, you know, 1 I think is just way too slow. So my goal here is we want to get them in the house. So they should have enough stone. And there's 10 stone that goes into the stockpile. Alright, she's going to get something to eat. So is he. The food's over in the wagon. And this is one reason it's good to build everything close together. And as we progress and start building production areas, you'll want to build houses in those areas for the workers to live in, to where they're not having to spend half a day walking to get to work, because by the time they get to work, then they have to go back to the house because their day is done. Alright, so they took 8 stone. And if we turn around here, there you go. You can see our 8 stone is there. They've laid the foundation for the house. And now I need another builder. I'm going to make both of them builders, because we need 2 to do the quickest work possible, and hopefully get them over here to start working on the house. And you hear the hammering and you see the bar going up. So things are progressing on the house. And as soon as that's up, then we will move them back to laborers and let them get back to gathering resources. Now we do have 2,000 food, so setting up food is not a huge priority. Alright, so there's logs. We don't have a lot of logs, so I do want to cut down a few more trees here. And we will move them back up to laborers. Now you notice this snowflake icon. That means there's no heat. So if we look in their inventory, there is nothing. Now right now what they're going to be doing, he's gathering food, she's working, and the kid is gathering food as well. So even at the age of 2, she's doing some basics, but that's about it. And we can now see as they start bringing things in, they've got a little food in the house. We want them to get wood in the house so they can have heat. So that's why I designated some additional trees to up our log resources. So they have enough they can then haul over to this area. Let's see. Oh. I need to build a woodcutter. Alright, we're going to put our woodcutter right out here next to the stockpile. And you'll notice when I go over the stockpile here, it's red, and we talked about that earlier. But you can see the green arrows in front are green. That means I'm in line with the walkway. So I don't want to be here, because then the walkway would have to be curved. I want to be right on it there, and then come over. And I'm going to put my woodcutter right next to the stockpile so they have access to the wood. So that's our next step. We want them to get over here and start clearing that out. So they'll cut down these trees that I designated out here. Then they'll come clear this area out, and then we'll need to move them back to builder. And you can see it needs 3 people to build this place, but we only have 2. So even when they get set up, they will be building at less than maximum speed. And that's fine. That's not a problem at all. But so we have the raw wood, but then we need the woodcutter to chop it up into firewood. So that's what they need to then bring that to their house to have heat to survive the cold period. And you can see here there's 9 things to remove. And then this is the quantity of items that you need. And when you're looking at that, I can look up here and go, well, I have 38 logs, so I have enough of that. I don't have any firewood. I've got 57 stone. So I have enough resources to build this place. I just need to get them over here removing it. And I should have done that instead of designating the trees out here, because now they have more to do than they can do in a reasonable amount of time. Alright, gathering fuel, working. Alright, he's coming back up to the area up here, so he's gathering, sounds like he's cutting some stone. Now every once in a while you will hear the sound of work happening, maybe like cutting trees, but you know your people are not cutting any of them. What's happening at that point is the trees will die and fall down. They'll just collapse and become useless and rot away. So the mod that I have, the extended life, does help that a lot, so we don't lose as much of our resources as we might. So these yellow items, you see these yellow marks, basically that's a axe and a pick. So that's just showing the designation. This tree doesn't have one, this stone does. So that's the stones that I have designated to be worked on. Alright, let's see. They're both working. Alright, so they're chopping away at the stone here. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up the speed a little bit more. Just enough to get them to where they can come start working on this area. Now, they will go into their house at night. They will sleep. You know, we have 131 food left. They will go back to the wagon and get more food at some point. And you can see how quickly that goes. So, you know, we are going to want rather quickly to get some farming put in. Let's see, storage barn. I'm just looking through here trying to see where the well... Oh, there we are. That makes sense. And I'm going to go ahead and put down a farm field so we can get that started here rather quickly. Now they still have... They've removed 3 of 9 items, so they still have quite a bit left to do there, trees to chop down, plus they're also still working on the other items. Now, there's the thing. Remember I said, don't designate too much or they won't be able to get through it all. So what I might want to do here is I want to come in and cancel some of these areas here. See if I can find some more that I had designated. Should be all in this area right around here. There's some. I want to get rid of that. Just cut down on the number of things that they're having to work on. Because as they clear this out, they're going to get more resources as well. Well, let's bring the speed back down to 2. Alright, so our stockpile's filling up rather quickly. We're over half full. And what you want to do is you want to have stockpiles set up in strategic locations. So you're going to have things going on in this area. You'll want to use this stockpile. As we expand, let's say if we start building out in this area, I'll want to build a new stockpile out here. And that way they're able to bring resources from this area to that stockpile rather than walking all the way back over here. But we won't have to worry about that for a good ways. Now I need to move those guys back over to builders to come and build this. And you can see the base structure going in because they've got all the resources. So you'll get a graphics change as things progress, and you'll notice as they progress in the build, you'll see the structure start to develop. So we'll keep an eye on that just so you can see how that works. Alright, so right there, they're still only 70% done. So basically you have the foundation, then a midpoint, and then the end structure, just like the house was. While they're finishing there, we do have some notes here. There was a child born named Rest, and we can come down to the house. Let's pause it for a second. And now we have Rest is a male child, newborn, Patrina, the 4-year-old girl, and then the mother and father are 19 and 15 respectively. Now, before you go, hey, 15 years old, you have to remember, back in the 16, 17, 1800s, that was not unusual. So anyway, that's what that's about. Alright, so they are still building. Let me find out what they're working on. Oh, they're building the pasture over here. That's right. So we have 13 items to remove, and they will work on that. Now what I want to do here, you can set a limit. So I want 200 fuel, which is the amount per house. And I'm going to take one of these people, and I am going to make them a woodcutter. And it is already set to work, and it shows here that we have one person on the job. So at some point they will start making their way over here, and in fact there you can see they have come over and started cutting wood, and they have 9 logs in. They're working on the logs. They have 8 left, and they have to bring the wood from the stockpile over here to chop, and then that will go back to the stockpile as firewood, so a whole nother setup as a different quantity. And then when he's out, he will bring that over here, he'll get more logs and come work some more. So he has 2 left. He's walking around, and he put them in, but no sooner did he put them in, she picked them up, and now if we look at the inventory, now they have 19 firewood. Well, they had 20, but they already used 1 for heat, and you can see the snowflake signal disappeared over the house. So we do have a low reserve, and that's given here as well as here. So the chopping of wood will continue until we get to 200. Once that happens, then this will go to 0, and we will no longer need that. But you can see all the firewood is gone. I want 200 in reserve, and we have to get rid of some of this wood that they put out over here. Although right now I can't grow crops, so it's late autumn, but it's still 27 degrees. So certainly not the most temperate weather. So it won't be perfect for our gameplay. I tell you what, let's go ahead and put a cut in right there. We've gotten a lot accomplished for our first episode. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time in Banished.